Runs on 33 hits over the last 2 nights. Can Cincinnati's Matt Latos slow him down? It's time for the Reds and Cardinals.
3 of the best teams in the National League reside in the Central Division, and 2 of those teams that have become fierce rivals square off tonight in Cincinnati. A beautiful night in downtown Cincinnati. Sellout crowd on hand at Great American Ballpark. The Cardinals and the Reds getting together this weekend. St. Louis, with the best record in baseball, sits atop the division, 4 games in front of the division reigning champions from a year ago. And hi again, everybody. Alongside Tom Verducci, I'm Tom Brenneman. We welcome you to Baseball Night in America. The Cardinals are good, and the Cardinals right now are hot.
Leading the National League in runs scored, and the hot bats all the way up and down the lineup. 73 hits in their last 5 games. Yadier Molina leading the league and hitting at .352. David Freese, Matt Carpenter, and Alan Craig all come into tonight's game with hitting streaks of at least 11 straight games.
And the man who will toe the rubber for the Reds tonight, right now he's their ace with Johnny Cueto on the disabled list, and that's Matt Latos.
Well, I think he's the right guy for the Reds right now. Going back to last August, he's undefeated in 19 straight starts, winning 9 of those games. I call this a step-up game for Matt Latos. Your ace is on the DL, the first-place team in your ballpark, swinging hot bats. Time for Matt Latos to step up.
We'll see how it goes here tonight. St. Louis won the opener last night. Yadier Molina, the league's leading hitter, bringing the Cardinals into town to take on Joey Votto and the Reds. You're watching Baseball Night in America on Fox. Temperatures in the 70s, partly cloudy skies, not a threat of rain, so we're told. And let's take a look at the starting lineup, brought to you by Taco Bell. Sometimes you gotta live Moss. Highest scoring team in the league as Matt Carpenter, Carlos Beltran, and Matt Holliday in the top. Alan Craig, Yadier Molina, the third baseman David Freese in the middle. With a latter third of John Jay, Pete Kozma, and Tyler Lyons, a rookie, on the mound facing right-hander Matt Latos. He just turned 25 during the winter, and tonight already the 118th start of his major league career.
A lot of experience for a young pitcher, and if you want to see someone really spin the ball, welcome to what I call spin class, because what I think he does best is spin the baseball. Curveballs and sliders, has allowed no home runs off those breaking pitches this year. In this ballpark, that's saying something. And a strong starter. He owns the early part of games with an ERA of 1.5 in the first 4 innings. But Tom, keep an eye on him through the middle innings. It's been rough after that ERA over 5 from the 5th inning on.
Our opening pitch tonight from Great American Ballpark is brought to you by Budweiser, the official beer of Major League Baseball. Great times are waiting. Grab some Buds. The Reds division champions in 2010. The Cardinals won the World Series in 2011. Both of them made the playoffs in 2012. And here we are in 2013, and they own 2 of the top 3 records in all of baseball. Digging in, Matt Carpenter. Latos turns it loose, and it's strike 1. We're underway tonight in Cincinnati. Well, Tom Verducci mentioned a moment ago, the Cardinals boast 4 players with active hitting streaks of 8 games or more. Carpenter, the second longest active streak in baseball behind his teammate David Freese. Carpenter's hitting 16 in a row. Freese 17.
Now, both of these teams really made adjustments at the leadoff spot in the batting order. Of course, Chu came over to the Reds in that big offseason trade. Carpenter taking over for John Jay in the leadoff spot has given Mike Matheny everything he wanted, especially that high on-base percentage.
Still 0-2 on Carpenter. Now, Latos, when he originally came up with the San Diego Padres, he had a terrible time with the St. Louis Cardinals. I mean, he had games where he gave up 7, he gave up 8, he gave up 7. But since coming to Cincinnati, now his last 3 starts against his Cardinal team, including 2 outings this year, a 2-0 record with a 1.06 earned run average. Tries to continue that run here tonight, and it's a ball and 2 strikes on Matt Carpenter.
Well, slowing down this team, Tom, that's doing something the way he's pitched. You see the numbers right there, his last 3 against this team. I think this team is the best rally team in baseball. They hit so well with runners on base.
And there's a rocket into left center field on a 1-2 pitch, and Carpenter aboard. His hitting streak goes to 17 consecutive games. Tonight's Reds defensive lineup brought to you by Scott's, the official lawn care company of Major League Baseball, and many feel like top to bottom Tom Verducci for the 2nd, 3rd, 4th straight year. If it's not the best defensive team, it's among the best in baseball.
No question. Infield, outfield. I like the transition of Chu in center. Certainly one of the stronger throwing arms in center field today.
Neither one of these teams run much. Carpenter only 1 stolen base attempt, a successful one. And here's Carlos Beltran. Beltran at 305, 13 home runs, 40 runs batted in. Came to the Cardinals last year, got off to the unbelievable start, wound up in the All-Star game, and then really cooled off over the second half of the season. In the air, short left field. Derek Robinson comes in to get it, and that's out number 1 for Latos. We talked about some of the numbers some of these Cardinals have posted against Latos, especially during his days with San Diego. And you look at the heart of the order, Beltran, 3 home runs against him. That's more than Latos has allowed to any player. The most RBIs against him, Matt Holliday. And the highest batting average against him is Molina.
And this guy right here, Matt Holliday, you really have to pound him inside with the hard stuff. And he got trouble last night with some off-speed pitches down, which he hit some absolute rockets last night. I think Matt Latos, as good as his breaking stuff is, he still needs to show that fastball in on Matt Holliday.
Holliday really one of the few Cardinals that has not taken off from an offensive standpoint, but they're hoping these last couple of games, a series finale against Arizona on Thursday when he hit a home run. They had 5 home runs in that game, and that is not the Cardinals' MO this year. They have scored a lot of runs, but not because of hitting a lot of home runs.
Now, for them, it's all about base hits and doubles with runners on base.
Got him to chase down and away. 0-2 on Holiday.
342 with runners in scoring position this season. To give you an idea, the National League average is 255. I mean, that's just an unheard of number. We saw that last night with the barrage of hits. The ball didn't go out of the ballpark, but they just pounded Cincinnati pitching, hitting the ball especially the other way with runners on base.
1 on, 1 out. 0-2 on Holiday. And Latos turns it loose, and that's in the air down the right field line. And Jay Bruce will give it a look along with Votto, and it's out of play.
Not easy to get strike 3 on this lineup, Tom. We saw that the first at bat of the game with Matt Carpenter in an 0-2 hole. Right here you see Matt Holliday grinding on an 0-2 count himself.
What's amazing about the Cardinals, when they have nobody on base, as a team they're only batting .235. But then when you put somebody on base, they're hitting .328. Don't want to overwhelm you with numbers, but what the Cardinals are doing so far this year, with runners on or with runners in scoring position, is unheard of. There's a pitch you suggested a moment ago. They crowd him in, 1-2.
Yeah, that's a good pitch by Latos there. You saw when Holiday was on that curveball, just kind of fought it off the previous pitch. This will open up the outside part of the plate for him if he wants to go back out there and get Holiday out on his front foot.
They went away, and Holiday able to foul it away. Well, every time the Cardinals come into Cincinnati, somewhat of a homecoming for Michael Scott Matheny, named the 49th manager in St. Louis Cardinals franchise history a year ago November, and took the team to the postseason last year. He grew up in Reynoldsburg, Ohio, right outside of Columbus. Went on to play collegiately at the University of Michigan, and he has a lot of family here tonight, making the drive down about an hour and a half from Columbus. Beautiful breaking ball, and that's strike 3.
Yeah, we talked at the top about spin class. Classic right here. Just drops that one into the strike zone. Holiday fooled by the pitch.
You know, you talk so much about the youth of this Cardinals starting rotation with all the youngsters they've had to bring up after injuries to Jaime Garcia, now out for the year, and of course Jake Westbrook, who's on the men back. And most of these guys are making their first appearances in the major leagues as 22, 23, 24-year-olds. You know, you look at this Cincinnati starting rotation. We talked about Latos. He's 25. Johnny Cueto is 26. Mike Leake is 24. Homer Bailey is 26. But you're talking about all those guys that have made 110, 115, 140 major league starts. Arroyo is the only veteran they have in this entire rotation. Veteran in terms of age.
Yeah, I like to call them young veterans, guys, just kind of entering the sweet spot of their careers, and both of these clubs have those type of starting pitchers. You're looking at the top 2 rotations in terms of ERA in the major leagues. Tom, I think it's something that could continue for years with these young pitchers both squads have.
Greg, one of those batters we mentioned earlier, an 11-game hitting streak. Well, they wondered what would happen in St. Louis after Albert Pujols walked out the door. Well, they have found that Allen Craig is working out just fine.
They did fine spreading that money around that they did not give Albert Pujols. The extension to Craig, the extension to Adam Wainwright, who's starting to look like a bargain already 3 months into the extension. Right here you have Latos for the 3rd time in 4 plate appearances, working out to an 0-2 count. Trying once again for the put-away pitch.
Craig had one of the most impressive at-bats of the game last night. It was a scoreless game with a runner at first, 1 out in the 4th inning. 13 pitch at bat, capped off by a single into right center, moving the runner first to third. The Cardinals wound up scoring 3 times in that inning, and Craig's at bat had a lot to do with it.
Tom, I thought that at bat changed the night because he really worked Mike Leake so hard it was tough for Leake to get through that inning. Of course, he had Yadier Molina right behind him who struck out, but that was a difficult at bat. It just seemed like Mike Leake had to execute so many pitches with runners on base under high stress circumstances. The tank started to run empty and the inning got away from him with 2 outs.
Leake had been on quite a run. He had gone 4 starts where he had only allowed 1 run. It came in with an ERA at 2.7, and the Cardinals, they worked a lot of pitches in a short amount of time, and Leake was out of there after 5 innings. Now one in the dirt, Mesoraco can't find it. And good alert base running out there by Carpenter to advance in a scoring position.
Well, Tom, you're already seeing here with this Cardinal offense the way they grind at bats. See, this curveball bounces in front of the plate. Not much that Mesoraco can do right there. That's a easy 90 feet for Carpenter. But you know, at 0-2 especially, you want to finish off at bats as quickly as you can. But these Cardinals just don't let you do it, whether it means fouling off pitches or in this case just taking the curveball meant to be a chase pitch, not in the strike zone, but get someone to chase with 2 strikes, and Craig had the discipline to stay off it and get to another pitch.
And another foul ball by Craig. You saw those numbers with runners in scoring position and 2 men out in an inning. Alan Craig hitting over .450. Talking about a guy who only has 4 home runs, but he has 43 runs batted in.
And Tom, he's one of those guys. It does seem like every year he outperforms his numbers in these kind of situations. A better hitter once you put runners in scoring position.
Two and two the count on Alan Craig. And he buried him inside with a 94-mile-per-hour fastball, and that's all for the Cardinals in the opening inning. Shin-Soo Choo will start things for the Reds in the home half of the first when we return. The manager Dusty Baker is brought to you by Taco Bell. Sometimes you gotta live Moss. Big change for the Reds after Chu is Derek Robinson in left field. Of course, here without Ryan Ludwig. He was injured on opening day. Joey Votto in the 3-hole, followed by Phillips, Bruce, and Frazier. And a ladder third to Devin Mesoraco, Zach Cozart, who had been hitting second all year long. And Matt Latos on the mound. And starting it for the Cardinals. He's 25 years old. He grew up in Texas and pitched collegiately at Oklahoma State as Tyler Lyons.
Yeah, he's a guy also like Matt Latos, can spin the ball very well. I think his secondary pitches are his strength. Fastball not overpowering, but the curveball is a wipeout pitch to left-handers. Doesn't throw it too much to right-handers. Has a very good slider to right-handers. And he's a put-away pitcher so far in his young career, Tom. On 2 strike counts, hitters are just 1 for 29.
Shin-Soo Choo in his first season as a Red, part of a 3-team deal during the offseason involving Arizona and Cleveland. Of course, Cleveland is where Choo had played most of his major league career after initially coming up in the Seattle Mariners organization. But like many of these Reds, he has fallen into a bit of an offensive funk here over about the last 10 days. Breaking ball drops in there, strike 1.
That's just Lyons' way of introducing himself. To me, that's his best pitch, and he showed it to him right away. He can throw that down in the dirt when he's ahead on the count.
Choo hit nearly 400 through the first month of the season, 392 batting average. But over the last month, that batting average right around 213. Without question, the greatest player that Korea has ever brought to the major leagues. Breaking ball in the dirt. You could add up all the players in the history from that country to play in the major leagues, and their home run total would not be half the number of Choo's. And there you see, after a rough May, an even tougher early June. 2-2.
You see that velocity on the fastball. It's about where he'll sit, 90-91. But again, his put-away pitch has been that breaking ball.
An excuse me roller down at third. Free's going to try and barehand it. Not sure he had to barehand that ball. That'll be ruled an infield hit for Choo.
I think you're right, Tom. Generally, the speed of the rolling baseball will tell you whether to use the glove or not. And I think this ball is traveling fast enough that he has time to use the glove. But he decides to try barehand, which obviously is a do-or-die play. Just doesn't get it done right there. You see, Choo was not out of the box quickly as well. And I think that gave Freese more time than he thought.
Choo has 5 stolen bases. He's been thrown out twice, and now it'll be Derek Robinson. Robinson having a chance to be brought to the big league club. We talked about Ryan Ludwig on opening day, the Reds' regular left fielder and their cleanup batter. Injured his shoulder sliding into third. He has not played since. They're not sure when he'll be back. They had Chris Heisey that was getting most of the playing time. He has been hurt for the better part of a month. So they're down to 3, 4, 5 on the depth chart. Robinson spent 6 years in the Royals minor league system. Very fast, a lot of stolen bases, and now getting a chance for the Reds, and has played well. They get one, and safe as a call at first. Take a look at the Cardinals defensively. Brought to you by Scott's, the official lawn care company of Major League Baseball. The Cardinals generally are a defensive team. Everything they get to, they catch. Most feel like there's not a lot of range or spectacular defense on this team outside of Molina behind the plate.
Right. I think they do compromise a little range in the outfield, especially except in center field with John Jay, who can run him down.
Well, now Joey Votto, another Red who has just 3 hits in his last 30 at bats. Average at .322. 10 home runs, 28 runs batted in. And this is what we talked about coming into this kind of a series. Everybody gets excited. Reds and the Cardinals getting together. But right now, the Cincinnati team collectively not swinging the bats. Bouncing ball back up the middle. This should be an easy double play, and that's that. A 7-pitch inning for Tyler Lyons. No score at the end of 1. by Taco Bell. Sometimes you gotta live Moss. All right, Mr. Verducci, time now to take a look at our Ford keys to the game.
Well, for me, you're talking about the Cardinals. We've talked about this time. They hit so well with runners in scoring position because they do use the entire field. That's their MO, and especially lately, they've been great at it. For the Reds, remember when they were a home run hitting team? I mean, they're 16-5 in this ballpark when they hit a home run, but so far this month, only 2 home runs. They need the power, especially from the left-handed hitters, Votto, Chu, and Bruce.
Well, you heard the boos for Yadier Molina. Of course, that goes back 3 years ago when these two teams had a brawl right here in this ballpark. It was sparked by some comments made by Brandon Phillips leading up to a series. Phillips, at the time, every time he walked up to the home plate, his first at bat in a series, would tap the catcher of the other team on the shin guard as if to say hello. Well, he did it with Molina, and Molina didn't like it. And that one is shot into right center field. It'll get by Bruce. And Yadier Molina, the league's leading hitter, on the first pitch of his at bat in the second inning with a double.
Well, you called it, Tom. Hitting .415 on the first pitch, and he does it often. 42 plate appearances. He's put the first pitch into play. A little surprised at the pitch selection for a dead first ball hitter, a fastball over the plate. And as you said, he just hammers this and gets it by Jay Bruce. Hit it so hard, Bruce was unable to cut it off. I mean, you almost have to pitch Yadier Molina when he steps into the box like the count is 0-2.
200th career double for Yadier Molina. So he's aboard at second to begin this second inning of a scoreless game. And now David Freese, longest active hitting streak in all of Major League Baseball for the Cardinal third baseman. 17 in a row. Had 2 more hits last night. Drove in 2, scored twice. David Freese, you may recall, the postseason hero in 2011. The dramatic hits, a dramatic home run in Game 6.
See Chu shaded over towards right field. That's what we're talking about. Runners on base, especially in scoring position. The Cardinals use the entire field. You have to defend it.
Fly ball into right field. It'll back up Bruce. Plenty deep enough for Molina to advance. And that's out number 1 in the inning. And right now it's time for a game break. Let's go to the MLB Network studios to our good friend Matt Vasgersian.
Tommy, longest game in the big leagues this year, a 1-1 tie between the Marlins and Mets in the 20th when Adeiny Echeverria made it 2-1 Marlins. Sean Markham became the first pitcher since 1989 to go 8 or more in relief and got the loss and exhale in New York. Back to you guys, Tom and Tom.
20 big ones.
Well, that's rough. You're a starting pitcher. You come to the ballpark. It's your day off. You wind up pitching more than 8 innings and go home with an L.
8 great innings.
8 great innings. Wow, that's rough.
So now runner at third, 1 out, and here's John Jay. Of course, John Jay early in the year was batting at a cleanup spot, and he had been struggling so mightily over the last couple of weeks. Only 6 hits and 54 at bats. There was talk about, it's time to drop him down in the order, and that's what Mike Matheny did.
I think he likes it too. See the infield playing back up the middle. They'll concede the run here on a ground ball early in the game, of course.
Broken bat roller by the mound. The head of that bat goes flying above the Reds dugout, and thankfully everybody's okay down there. That'll bring in a run to make it 1-0 St. Louis on the RBI from Jay.
Well, this is just textbook baseball. Baseball 101. The 2 at bats by Freese and Jay. Right here, look at him. Look at the runner on third base to make sure this does produce a run. But the infield back, you want to use the big part of the field. Lift the ball in the air deep enough for the sac fly, or the ground ball to the middle infielders to score the run. He did his job. David Freese did his job the at bat before by hitting the ball deep enough to right field to advance the runner. Get him over, get him in with 2 outs. Baseball 101.
And Cosmo on the first pitch bangs one into center field, a base hit. You and I were talking between innings about swinging at the first pitch. It is a hotly debated topic all over baseball, especially with sabermetrics becoming more and more a part of baseball. The Cincinnati Reds as a team with the 3rd most frequency of all clubs in baseball swing at the first pitch in an at bat. The Cardinals, the 4th most pitches they swing at the first pitch of an at bat. The difference is what they do with the first pitch once contact is made. The Cardinals are hitting .381 on the first pitch. The Reds are batting .269, dead last in baseball.
And the major league average about what, 330, 331. That's an astounding difference between these two teams.
On the ground is short, and the force out will end the inning. So they get him on, get him over, get him in, and now Brandon Phillips and the Reds try to answer, trailing 1-0. Sponsored by Budweiser, the official beer of Major League Baseball. Great times are waiting. Grab some buds. Sellout crowd, beautiful night here in Cincinnati. And we welcome you back to Great American Ballpark. Cardinals and the Reds. With St. Louis winning the opener of this series to take a 3-game lead to a 4-game lead over the Reds in the Central. For most of this year, these two teams have had the best records in Major League Baseball. But the Reds, for the first time all year, have lost 3 straight games here at home. And trail here tonight, 1-0. Part of that 3-game losing streak had to do with the absence of this guy, Brandon Phillips. He got hit twice in one game on his left arm in Pittsburgh on Saturday. Did not play Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And got back in the lineup here last night. You see it's still he has a wristbands on that left arm, but still very swollen. The left arm, not the right arm. Said it affects his defense to the backhand side a lot more than it does swinging the bat. Here's a ground ball to short, and that's easy for Cosmo. 1 out.
You know, Tom, watching Tyler Lyons warm up for both the first inning and the second inning, I was struck by the fact that he threw all of his warm-up pitches out of the windup. I've always wondered about that because I would not want to throw out of the stretch for the first time once runners get on base. But apparently not a problem for this guy. Leadoff hitter got on and he threw 2 ground balls to get out of the first inning. You know, a guy like Greg Maddux, he used to always throw more warm-ups and especially his bullpen sessions out of the stretch than the windup. I once asked him why, and he said, think about it. When do you really need to execute your pitches under pressure? With runners on base. So he thought it was more important to work out of the stretch more than the windup.
Jay Bruce launches one to right, and we are tied.
Tyler Lyons here goes with the fastball. Just got too much of the inside part of the plate. Both Bruce and Tyler Lyons knew the minute contact was made that this ball was out. It's the first extra base hit allowed to a left-handed hitter by Lyons in his young career, just his 4th start. On this level, yeah, those pitches get hammered.
Well, you thought one of the keys to the game tonight, one of the forward keys to the game tonight, would be the Reds rediscovering the long ball. And they get one from Bruce here to tie the game in the 2nd inning. And now Todd Frazier, the batter.
Well, I just don't think of Cincinnati, Tom, as the same kind of rally team as I think of the St. Louis Cardinals. I think they're a quick strike team. They're a knockout team with the long ball. Now that's solo home right there, but get a guy on and get him in with the long ball. Whereas the Cardinals, to me, are more about stringing at bats together, multiple at bats, hitting with runners on base.
Frazier thought that was ball 4, and Mike Estabrook, the home plate umpire, says no.
3-0 count. Maybe the zone gets a little bigger.
Wow. Started 2, and they appeal. Frazier, he's going to wear out a trail from the batter's box about 10 feet up the first baseline.
Todd Frazier thinks he's walked twice so far, and he's still in the batter's box now with a full count. We checked with Phil Cuzzy at first base on this check. Let's see if that bat crosses the foul line there. I think it did.
Well, 3-2 now to Frazier, who has 6 home runs and 34 runs batted in, and he lines one foul. Frazier in his first full year as a starter. He had the great spring training a season ago. Had made the major league club. Then the Reds picked up Alfredo Simon from Baltimore and sent Frazier back to the minor leagues. A couple of months into the year, he came up and had a terrific season. You see, against the Cardinals. Real good the first 6 times he played him. And not much to speak of the last 11. And finally he draws the walk.
How did you resist not reading the headline on that graphic? Down goes Frazier.
From Howard Cosell. Am I right about that?
Absolutely.
And now it's time for the Own Your Space pitcher profile, brought to you by Avis. His first 2 starts were on the road in good pitchers ballparks, San Diego and Kansas City. And let's face it, not big hot hitting teams in either one of those clubs, but he still got the job done, threw the ball very, very well. Mesoraco, first pitch swinging, and dribbler out in front of the plate. And Lyons will throw him out with Frazier advancing on the second. 2 are out in the inning. You know, it's interesting. Mike Matheny thought, even though the numbers were not as impressive, that he was most impressed with Lyons' last start. That came against the Giants. Now he lost that game, but in 6 1/3 innings he allowed 8 hits and 4 runs, but pitched out of multiple jams in that game.
Yeah, he said he didn't have his best stuff, and he looked up and he's still out there 6th, 7th inning. That was a good indication to Mike Matheny about how well he battles out there. Easy to go out there when you got your A game. It's hard to give your team some length when you don't have your A game, but he did that his last time out.
Well, now Zach Kozar in his 2nd year as a starter for the Reds. Kozar was forced to bat near the top of the order last year. There's a bouncer by the mound. It'll be gobbled up by Carpenter, and that's all. But the Reds tie the game on the home run ball from Bruce. Baseball Night in America returns to Cincinnati after a word from your local Fox station. Chapman at the end of 2 here in Cincinnati. Game 2 of this 3-game weekend series. Sellout crowd on hand here tonight. First 2 series between these 2 teams were both played in St. Louis. For the Reds, they have played 6 games in St. Louis. They have played 6 games in Pittsburgh. This is the first time the Cardinals have been here. The Pirates have yet to come here.
And don't forget, more intra-divisional games this year with the new schedule, 19 this time. And how about the Cardinals, Tom? Going back to late April, they have not lost their past 12 series coming into this series. It's been a long time since someone was able to say, hey, we got 2 out of 3 from that team, whether it's home or road.
And we're on the road is where they have been just remarkable. By far the best record in all of baseball. 21 wins in 30 road games so far for St. Louis, including the opener here last night. Top of the order. Matt Carpenter singled into left center field, leading off the game. He'll be followed by Beltran and then Holiday.
Tom, when we talked about the Cardinals' kind of team culture of grinding out at bats, Mike Matheny pointed to this guy, Matt Carpenter, who sets the tone as much as anybody, not just because he's the first man in the lineup leading off the top of the order, but every at bat with Matt Carpenter, he will grind you out.
2-0 the count on Carpenter. 2-1. You know what's interesting about Carpenter settling in as their second baseman? Many will remember the Cardinals offered Marco Scudero a big contract during the offseason to pry him away from the Giants. Obviously that didn't happen. They even offered Alex Gonzalez, a one-time Red, a contract to come over from shortstop to second base. That did not work out. Gonzalez, by the way, was just released last week in Milwaukee. So they settled on Carpenter, and look what we found.
Turned out okay. Here's a guy who really played almost 98% of his games in the minor leagues at third base. Very versatile.
Latos trying to sneak that fastball in the inside corner and just missed a full count to Carpenter.
They've had him at first base, third base, left field, right field. Sure looks like he has a home now at second base, and his defense has really improved the more he's been out there.
In the air left field and playable for Derek Robinson. And Carpenter retired. Time now to send it back to the MLB Network studios to Matt Vasgersian.
Tom, to Milwaukee, where Dominic Brown gets to southpaw Tom Gorzolani. He'd hit only 1 home run against a left-handed pitcher in parts of 3 previous seasons. That was his 5th against the southpaw and his National League leading 19th of the season. Back to you guys in Cincinnati.
You know what's funny? I mean, you talk about, thank you, Matty. We had a game in Philadelphia about 3.5 weeks ago, right? And we show all this video of all the big hitters in the Phillies lineup. We're showing Chase Utley and we're showing Ryan Howard and the team they were playing that day and all the big hitters they had in their lineup. And then all of a sudden we roll in this video of Dominic Brown, who at the time had 2 home runs on the season. And you're like, well, which guy doesn't fit? And now look at Dominic Brown.
So you're saying you've got him started?
No, I'm saying they're laughing at me down in the truck. That ball shot into left center field by Beltran, and he will pull in with a 1-out double. So there's another hitting streak that is extended. Beltran now goes to 9 straight.
Nice job. Fastball just left up in the zone, and Beltran, if he tries to pull this, he probably flies out to right field, but stayed on this, hit it the other way. There's just no easy outs in this Cardinal lineup. Dominic Brown, talking about him, did something that I don't think has ever happened before. In the month of May, hit 12 home runs with no walks. No walks the entire month with 12 home runs.
Well, you would think that hot might get intentionally walked.
I think they ought to start thinking about it now, leading the league in home runs with 19.
Well, they've been waiting on Dominic Brown.
Yes, they have. He put up very good minor league numbers. Hadn't yet translated on the major league level until this year.
Well, now one of the big Cardinal hitters, Matt Holliday. And that's a slow roller to the right side. Phillips will throw him out. Advancing on the third is Beltran, 2 away. You know, we're on in a lot of cities here in the heartland of America that have such great knowledgeable baseball fans, and obviously the Cardinal fans watching their team each and every night. So you're not telling them anything they don't know. But you know, when you watch other teams around baseball and then you look at some of these numbers with runners in scoring position, and I know we've talked about it a lot already, but it is just astounding what they are doing. The Reds are the second best hitting team with runners in scoring position in the league. And they're, what, 70 points behind the Cardinals?
They're not even close. You know, the record keeping goes back to 1974. And no team has started a season, well, we're not really still at the start, more than a third of the way through, hit so well in those situations as the Cardinals have.
1-1 now to Craig.
I mean, on the one hand, you ask yourself, Tom, can this possibly be sustainable? Maybe not at that high of a level. You're talking about 342. That's just astounding. But this team is for real. I think they can hit over 300 with runners in scoring position because, once again, they use the entire field. Now, this is a game that has gone increasingly to the strikeout. This is now the 8th consecutive year we're on a record pace for strikeouts. And yet the Cardinals are a tough team to get strike 3 against.
Two and one to Alan Craig. And a fastball misses down low, and now all of a sudden good hitters count to a real good hitter. And waiting in the on deck circle already tonight with a double in his only at bat is Yadier Molina. Those are the numbers we were talking about. At one point in the game last night, they were 7 for 14, and 2 of the outs were by the pitcher. 3-2 now to Craig. Cardinals scored in the second inning on a leadoff double by Molina. Fly ball advancing to third. A ground ball scored. Jay Bruce homered for Cincinnati in the bottom of the second inning. And now here in the third with 2 outs and a runner at third. 3-2 the count. Latos against Alan Craig. And a bouncer back up the middle. Cozart lets it fly, and it's not in time. Looked like he would have beat the throw anyway.
Yeah, Cozart got really caught in between a hop. And when this last hop kind of gets in between, it forces him to back up a little bit. You see him right there to back up and just can't get enough on the throw with his body now going away from the infield. I think his only chance to record it out here was to be a little more aggressive on the ball and take the harder hop. But by taking the easier hop, cost himself a step, and it's all that Alan Craig needed to leg that one out.
Infield hit, RBI, 44th batted in for Craig, and now Molina. So Craig's hitting streak also extended. That's now at 12 games. You know, it's one thing to put together a hitting streak. It's another thing to put together a hitting streak. You know, sometimes you'll see a guy go 1 for 4 and they'll hit her 8 or 9 games in a row, and you know, you talk about how long the streak itself is rather than how well they've truly hit. You look at these Cardinals. David Freese, 17-game hitting streak, 397 batter. Carpenter, 17-game hitting streak, 450 batter. Craig, 12 games, 420. Beltran, 9 games, 390. So you're talking about multiple hit games in most of the games during their streaks.
I mean, folks, this just doesn't happen often where you have teammates, hitters in the same lineup with hitting streaks of this kind of length. With the Cardinals, you have to go back to 1971 to see concurrent hitting streaks of 16 games or more. I mean, right, they're a handful to deal with, this Cardinals lineup, at any time, but especially right now.
Struck him out swinging, and that's all in the Cardinal third. But they break the tie on an infield hit and lead 2-1. Run lead of the game. Cardinals jumped in front in the top of the second. Reds answered in the bottom of the inning, and now the Cardinals come through with a run in the third. It'll be Latos, and back to the top of the order in Chu and Robinson. Latos 4 hits and 30 at bats so far this year. And he looks at a strike.
You know, Tyler Lyons, Tom, he was a 9th round pick back in 2010. Actually, as a 4th-year senior out of Oklahoma State. Think about this. His senior season, his ERA at Oklahoma State was 6.06. Cardinals obviously saw something they really liked. He did have good numbers in terms of strikeout to walk ratio, was a strike thrower, and did show strikeout ability in college. The Cardinals have done a great job. We know that with their farm system, the development, but especially later on in the draft.
Latos, a roller, and Carpenter. One out. Well, let's take a peek ahead of next Saturday on Baseball Night in America. Robinson, Cano, and the Yankees head west to take on the Angels. Some will see the Indians hosting the slumping Nationals. Others, the White Sox and the Astros, Tigers, Twins, Mariners, Athletics. Baseball Night in America presented by Ace Hardware begins at 7 Eastern only on Fox. Your thoughts, Tom Verducci, on that Washington Nationals team? A game under 500. And now, after a loss just moments ago, make it 2 games under 500.
Well, I think, Tom, you have to put them in the category of one of the most disappointing teams this season based on expectations. We talked a lot about the Dodgers, the Angels, and the Blue Jays in that regard. You see the ground ball to Cosme here. The Nationals, to me, Tom, they played the first week of the season well. They have not played well since. They just have not hit, have not clicked. Yes, there have been some injuries. Every team is going to have some injuries. Strasburg on the disabled list. Bryce Harper on the DL, and there's concern there about his knee, that maybe that's something lingering. But I really believe that was a team built to win 95 to 100 games. They're going to have a hard time getting to that number.
The Atlanta Braves will play later tonight at Dodger Stadium as Derek Robinson fouls it away with 2 down and nobody on. Strike 1 to Derek. If Atlanta wins that game, the Braves would have an 8-game lead over the Nationals in the East.
Tom, I'm not sure you can count on Atlanta coming back to you. I think you have to go catch them. I think that's a very good team. They're very streaky. A ton of strikeouts in the lineup, but a lot of power. Very good pitching. Brandon Beachy coming back soon. So I think you have to go get them if you're Washington. You're going to have to put together now 3-4 good months here.
2-1 to Robinson, and Robinson wanting timeout and granted timeout by the home plate umpire Mike Estabrook. Phil Cuzzi working at first base tonight. Our crew chief is Tom Hallian out at second. And Chris Guccione, the umpire, down at third. Tapper to the left side. Freeze, a nice pickup. And the runner is, what's the call? Out at first. We finally get the call from Phil Cuzzi. A collision over there at first between Craig and Robinson. And a 1-2-3 inning for the Lions. Getting help is just like going to your neighbor. And sponsored by AT&T. Rethink possible. Gorgeous weather night in Cincinnati along the banks of the Ohio. A look out across the river into the Commonwealth of Kentucky. And they're jam-packed into Great American Ballpark for Game 2 of this 3-game weekend series. The Cardinals took the opener last night in convincing fashion. St. Louis a 2-1 lead. We begin the 4th inning tonight, and that's strike 1 on David Freese. 2 runs, 5 hits, 3 left for the Cardinals. 1 run, 2 hits, 1 left for Cincinnati.
Nice adjustment by Latos there. The back half of this St. Louis lineup all took 1 or 2 pitches in their at bats. This time he mixed it up with the slider. First pitch.
And that one is into right field, a base hit for David Freese. So his hitting streak now goes to a major league best 18 in a row.
Yeah, he tried to double up with that slider there. Just a good piece of hitting by David Freese. One of the real good opposite field right-handed hitters in the game. That's his natural stroke. He's actually worked real hard to become a better pull hitter, to use the top hand more when the ball's in. He loves that ball away. And the numbers keep climbing for these hitting streaks in that St. Louis lineup.
So now John Jay, and he takes outside a fastball, 1-0. Talking about the Reds missing Johnny Cueto. Cueto off to an unbelievable start this year. Went on the disabled list after just 3 games. Same injury you may remember that occurred last year in Game 1 during the National League Division Series in the very first inning in San Francisco. You know, they originally diagnosed it as a side strain, an oblique strain, but really it ran back up into the lat more in that area. Started off this year great, same injury again, came back, had 2 spectacular outings, including 8 innings of 1-hit shutout baseball Friday night in Pittsburgh, where the injury was re-aggravated once more. So Cueto has gone on the disabled list again. So missing your ace, who they say there's no structural damage in there. He's working out with the team. There you see him running earlier today, still throwing on the side. That he would be ready to come off the disabled list next weekend. Would not go back for any minor league rehab starts, anything like that. And ball's in the air to left field. Robinson will track it. And that's out number 1. But it really is quite an accomplishment in and of itself that this Reds rotation, something you touched on earlier, still has the second best ERA among all teams in baseball.
Well, especially pitching in this place as your home ballpark, where we know the ball can jump. But you know, they did say the Cueto injury not nearly as severe as the first time around this season. But Tom, I got to think that this is now the 3rd time it's happened in essentially 3 baseball months: October of last year, April and May this year. And I know Johnny has kind of openly wondered, you know, does he have to do something different in terms of his delivery even? He's got that spin move before he delivers the ball in the windup. I mean, it does make you think that something in his training or in his mechanics at least need to be examined.
You know, you mentioned pitching in his ballpark. That's why I was surprised, Tom, and I don't know if you have a Cy Young Award vote or not.
I did not last year. I had an MVP vote last year.
I was stunned that Cueto did not receive far more votes for that National League Cy Young Award than he did last year. He won 19 games. Pitching half his starts, obviously, here in what has been the best hitter's ballpark in the National League for a number of years now.
Well, I agree. I think park factor really does matter, especially you're talking about making half your starts in a hitter's park. And R.A. Dickey, the winner, pitching in New York, obviously much more of a pitcher's park, and he's finding out the difference this year in Toronto. That could definitely have an effect on your numbers.
Fastball in there to Cosman. And it's 1 ball and 2 strikes.
But one thing they've done well here, Tom, and I'm talking about Brian Price and this entire Reds rotation, is not complain about it. Just deal with it. You pretty much sign up for it. Your ERA, your home runs allowed, are going to be higher in this park than they are on the road. And they do have some fly ball pitchers in this rotation, but you will not hear them complain about it at all.
In the air, short center, who wants it? And Phillips has to make the spectacular over-the-shoulder reception, if you will, for the 3-time Gold Glove winning Red second baseman.
Well, the way Chu gives up on this ball, I got to assume that Brandon Phillips is calling for it. And that is a long run. That is not an ordinary call for a second baseman. Look at that. It's like a receiver on a fly pattern. Just run down the field, had his head down at the start of that sprint. Looked up over his head, found the ball, made that one look easy, folks. That was not easy. It's always been my definition of greatness. When you make the difficult look easy, and you're looking at a great defensive player.
Phillips winning the Gold Glove 3 times. To watch him day in and day out, You're just stunned this guy did not win the Gold Glove last year. That went to Chicago Cubs second baseman Darwin Barney, and by no means is that a shot at Darwin Barney. He had the long airless streak game, and he's an outstanding defender, no two ways about him. And Phillips, I mean, this guy is just out of this world.
Yeah, that's my favorite right there. Who turns double plays on their knees? Well, Brandon Phillips does. Behind the back, he will make more plays that you don't see any other second baseman make than any other infielder in baseball.
Of course, Phillips is one of the great steals in the history of this Reds franchise, and before his career is over, it might go down as one of the great steals ever made by any team. Originally a big draft pick by the Montreal Expos in the second round of '99, was in that big Bartolo Colon deal with Cliff Lee and Grady Sizemore, being traded to Cleveland. And then he turned a lot of people off in Cleveland, primarily Eric Wedge. And the Indians gave him to Cincinnati for nothing. And he has become one of the most dynamic players in Reds franchise history.
Well, also, Tom, if there's a player in baseball who has more fun playing this game and more smiles over the course of 162 games than Brandon Phillips, I don't know who it is.
Of course, if Cardinal fans are throwing things at the television right now because he has become public enemy number 0 in St. Louis. But, I mean, the numbers just simply do not lie. Take a look at this. Greatest second baseman in Reds history is Joe Morgan. Well, all of a sudden, Brandon Phillips is knocking on the door at every record Morgan ever had. Not comparing the two. I mean, Morgan was two-time MVP.
Best second baseman of all time. But just that you can take even those 4 categories and be close to Joe Morgan. If you're a second baseman, that's the ultimate compliment. And as you said, no one's saying he's as good as Joe Morgan. But when you just force the comparison like that, that's impressive.
Even the pitcher Tyler Lyons is turning in an extended at bat here against Latos.
Has that great smile.
Sure does. Well, it comes from a great family. Mom and dad getting ready to celebrate their 35th wedding anniversary. Grew up and down in Atlanta, just outside of Atlanta, in Stone Mountain, Georgia. And there's strike 3 call. So a scoreless 4th for St. Louis. Phillips is coming up. You're watching Baseball Night in America on Fox, presented by Ace Hardware. Fourth inning. We would love to send out our thoughts and prayers. A very sad day today to one of our favorite people at Fox Sports. The Vice President of Communications is Dan Bell. Grew up in Chicago through and through, as was his father, Dennis Bell, who passed away earlier this morning. So many friends and family in the greater Chicago area, and certainly our thoughts and prayers are with Dan Bell, his family, and so many friends. Joey Votto, first pitch swinging, leading off the inning, and that is a fair ball into the corner. Holiday can't get it. He doesn't know where it is, and it bounces apparently into the stands. So that'll be a ground rule double for Joey Votto to begin the fourth inning with the Reds down 2-1.
Joey Votto's been doing more first pitch swinging these last couple of nights. This is a ball slicing away from Holiday off the left-handed bat. He didn't see this ball go into the stands. That was difficult to see whether it was fair or foul. Obviously not a lot of room between the line and the wall, so Holiday goes into the slide. That's barely fair and bouncing up into the stands.
So the Reds have the tying run at second base with nobody out here in the last of the fourth inning. And now it's Brandon Phillips. He grounded out to the shortstop his first time up. Phillips was the National League's leader in runs batted in prior to his injury going back last weekend. At the time, he had 43 runs batted in. And you see his numbers with runners in scoring position.
He's a guy who does like to take pitches. We saw him take a fastball right down the middle there. He prefers to get deeper into counts with runners on base. Only 10 hits this year with no strike counts. 38 hits with 2 strikes.
Of course, now the leader in runs batted in the National League. How about the start of Arizona first baseman Paul Goldschmidt? 57 runs batted in.
Tom, you talk about contract extensions. That one is a bargain already. That may be one of the best bargains for any extension for a young player.
0-2 now to Phillips. And it's fouled off out of play. It stays right there. You see Phillips now down the track a little bit after missing time with that injury, and then the red hot streak of Goldschmidt. Popped up in a short right field. And this will not advance the runner to third base. And right now we take a game break. Go to the MLB Network studios to Matt Vasgersian.
Tom, Red Sox and Angels second of 2 at the Fens. David Ortiz began the night 1 for 13 against Angels southpaw C.J. Wilson. A 2-on-2 out knock in the second makes it 3-0 Red Sox. Boston trying for a doubleheader split at home. Now a 3-1 score early on. Back to you guys, Tom and Tom.
Thanks, Matty. The Angels won the first game at Fenway. Tommy Hanson picking up the win in a 9-5 decision. And now Jay Bruce, the homer to right field, is only at bat tonight. And that one's low and away, ball 1. That was only the 35th home run surrendered by Cardinals pitching this season, by far the fewest among all teams in the National League.
Well, it goes back to the philosophies of Dave Duncan, the longtime pitching coach. The Cardinals staff always among the league leaders in ground balls. Here was the home run earlier. Obviously, not the kind of location that Lions wanted right there. Fastball inner half of the plate. Jay Bruce hammered it. Just saw Yadier Molina go out to the mound there. You talk about all these young pitchers on the staff, Tom. It's great to have a guy like Molina behind the plate in this situation. Make sure you know what you want to throw in this situation.
A ball and a strike on Jay Bruce.
And we asked Mike Matheny about that. He did say when these young pitchers come up, he tells them, we want you to throw your game. But at the same time, They tell them Yadi's behind the plate. It's not a bad idea to follow him. And I think when you have a catcher like Yadi, it really takes indecision out of play. If he's putting a signal down, you're a young pitcher, you have to think that's the right pitch to throw. Ultimate respect for the catcher.
One and two to count on Bruce with Votto at second base, and he struck him out swinging. So after a leadoff double, Votto still stands at second with now 2 out in the inning. Chevrolet, the official vehicle of Major League Baseball, is celebrating a new season for new memories. For your chance to win a community field makeover and an all-new 2014 Impala, visit ChevyBaseball.com.
I'll tell you a quick story about Molina. Edward Mujica, now their closer, got here last year in the trade. They were playing the Rockies, and Mujica hadn't faced the Rockies all season. And he asked the pitching coaches, well, I need some information on the Rockies hitter. Let's go over the reports. And they said, you know what? That's your scouting report right there. Yadi Molina, just follow him. And of course he did.
Well, he's been one of the great stories for this Cardinal team this year. Taking over as their closer. Fouled out a play by Frazier. And it's a ball and a strike.
Been almost unhittable as a closer. That looked like it might be a weakness when Jason Mott went down with an injury. I was joking with Mujica today. I said, you've become sort of the Mariano Rivera of the splitter. The way that Mariano throws that one pitch, the cutter, time after time after time. But Mujica does with the splitter. He could throw 10, 11, 12 in a row. It's that good.
One and one to Todd Frazier. Votto at second. And a fastball is up and in. Frazier walked his first time up. Look out. About 10 rows back in the seats. Appears like everybody's okay down there.
Some hang time on that one. You know, we started at the top of the broadcast, Tom, talking about Lions' ability to make pitches with 2 strikes coming into this game. Batters were 1 for 29 in 2-strike counts against Lions. Well, in this inning, after the leadoff double, he's gotten Phillips on a 2-strike count to pop up. He struck out Bruce on a 2-strike count. Now here he is, 2 strikes on Todd Frazier.
2-2 the count. Frazier taking a look at that new bat. Latos started this inning with a double. He's still standing at second base. And he will be stranded at second base. He doesn't move. Cardinals produced a run after a leadoff double early. And they lead by a run. Carlos Beltran coming up second in the Cardinals' fifth. Is presented by Ace Hardware. 2 runs, 6 hits, 4 left for St. Louis, 1 run, 3 hits, 2 left for Cincinnati. Top of the order, leading off an inning for the 3rd time. Matt Carpenter, 1 of 2 in the game. In their strike. On the ground, Votto will wave off Latos, and that's out number 1. We take a look at the Fox Sports 1 pitching comparison presented by Fox Sports 1. It's America's new sports network, coming in August. Latos now 4 1/3, 2 runs. Has not walked a batter all night. The only real mistake Lions made was a home run ball to Jay Bruce.
The Lions have done a very good job putting away hitters with 2 strikes, especially the last inning, pitching around a leadoff double. Cardinals were able to execute with a double, leadoff double, with 2 outs, moving a runner over and in. Reds were not.
Now Beltran, who has popped up to Derek Robinson in left, and then he doubled into left center field with 1 out. Went to third on a ground out and scored on an infield hit, the tie-breaking hit by Alan Craig in the 3rd inning. On the ground to Phillips. 2 out. We would love to welcome the men and women in uniform serving around the world, watching our telecast tonight in 175 countries on AFN, the American Forces Network. The Reds honoring Staff Sergeant Jared Hannafeld in between innings. We cannot thank all of you in uniform for all you do, standing tall, proud, and strong for the greatest country in the world, the United States of America. One and 1 to count on Matt Holliday. Holliday struck out and bounced out to Brandon Phillips. And Phillips unable to get to this one. That's a hard hit ball by Holliday. So the Cardinals have had at least 1 base runner in every inning tonight. That's why you look up on the pitch count. 70's not a bad count. The Cardinals, they tend to wear down starters.
That's a great way to put it. They really do wear you down, grind out those at bats. You know, Latos had really executed well in that situation. The sequence of pitches showed him that fastball in, went to the breaking ball away in a good location. And Holliday just really got the barrel of the bat on it, as you said, to hit it hard opposite field past Brandon Phillips. Not easy to do on the right side of that Cincinnati infield.
So now the batter is Craig. He has struck out, got an RBI with that infield hit his last time up, plating Beltran in the 3rd.
See if he stays soft throughout this at bat here, Tom, against Craig. Great fastball hitter.
Tapper by the mound, and Cozart will get the out at second, and that will retire the side. 1 hit, 1 left. Middle of the 5th. A 2-1 St. Louis lead. We're sponsored by Chevrolet. Find new roads. Welcome back to Great American Ballpark. Cardinals 2, Reds 1. It'll be the latter third in the batting order against Tyler Lyons. Lyons has only allowed 3 base hits. A single by Chu, an infield hit. A solo home run by Jay Bruce in the second, and pitched around a leadoff double from Joey Votto in the fourth.
And by the way, he has still not thrown a warm-up pitch out of the stretch. So I'm guessing that's his routine. And hey, it's working, right? Why change it?
Mesoraco puts a charge into one, right center field. Jay at the track, Jay at the wall, tie game.
Well, Tom, this is what the ballpark can do to you. You elevate a pitch, and this looks like a fly ball off the bat. Mesoraco's not sure it's got enough to get out. But in this ballpark, it will carry into that first and second row right there in right center field. He's watching that one all the way, thinking there's got a chance of staying in, but the mistake was elevating that fastball up in the zone. Mesoraco put a good swing on it.
Mesoraco, former #1 draft pick. He's out of Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania. And they very much believe that one day he will be a major force offensively in the middle of that Reds lineup. Of course, they love the defense of Ryan Hanigan. Hanigan gets most of his starts behind the plate for the Reds, so not tonight.
And that was one of the rare curveballs we've seen from Lyons to a right-handed hitter. We talked to Mike Matheny about that. To me, his curveball is plenty good enough to throw to right-handers. He tends to feature the slider more to right-handers. I think he can work in that curveball much more than he has in his first 4 starts to right-handed hitters. There he doubles up on it.
Fox Sports sends out our thoughts and sympathies to all of those across Oklahoma and the middle part of America affected by all the storms these last number of weeks. And if you'd love to help, you can text Red Cross to 90999. That's 90999, and that'll be a $10 donation. Or you can go to redcross.org.
We talked to Mike Matheny about that curveball. In fact, he said the first time he saw Lyons throw a bullpen in spring training, the first thing that came to mind was left-handed setup man. With that neutralizing pitch to left-handers, the curveball. But I think it's a situation where Molina and Lyons learning one another, and I think that curveball can be a weapon to right-handed hitters.
Well, really every one of these youngsters, maybe outside of Shelby Miller, the rest of them, though, are certainly pitching to stay in the big leagues. That one's fouled away, because when Jake Westbrook comes back, somebody will go.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of that situation the Reds had waiting for Johnny Cueto to get back when Tony Cingrano gave them a great boost. But you knew at some point someone was going to have to be pushed out of the rotation, and Mike Leake responded to that pressure.
Yeah, Cingrani is going to be brought back up to pitch. More than likely, I mean, the Reds have not made any announcement about it, but more than likely he will be brought up to take Cueto's spot in the rotation this upcoming week in Chicago. Seventh pitch in this at bat to Matt Latos, and there'll be an 8th. This is almost a carbon copy of Lyons at bat against Latos in the 4th inning. Worked the count full, and Latos struck him out.
That's a nice job by Molina. He made his pitcher wait. It was time for Lyons to take a deep breath, settle down. Molina hadn't yet given the sign. Now he gives it.
in the air, straight away center field, and playable for John Jay. That's out number 2. Why not make Sunday extra special by going out to the ballpark? Go to MLB.com/Sunday to find so many great special ticket offers all over the major leagues.
That's just one of the subtle things a catcher can do, and Molina obviously is as good or better than anybody at that. I really thought Lyons was rushing a little bit there to Latos. Molina didn't have to go out to the mound. He just did put a sign down, and Lyons got the message.
You know, Mike Matheny was quick to point out about what a learning curve this is. You touched on it earlier for Yadier Molina, and he said something very interesting. Of course, Matheny was an outstanding catcher during his major league career, and concussions brought it to an early halt. But he said for a catcher, it's very exciting. You know, when you have a veteran staff and you know the guys and you're used to everything they do and can't do, but now all of a sudden have 4 or 5 guys here and there you don't know much about, can very much energize a catcher.
Well, there's no doubt who runs or helps run those pitchers' meetings. All the years of experience Yadier Molina has. I love watching his eyes. He likes to see if a hitter will give anything away in body language in the box. You know, a couple of times we'll glance over at the batter before he puts a sign down. Just trying to read body language, see if he changes his spot in the batter's box, moves closer to the plate, moves farther away, moves closer to the pitcher. He will not miss a trick.
Fair ball, bobbled by Craig, and he'll feed the pitcher at the bag to end the inning. But the Reds tie the game on the home run by Devin Mesoraco. The Cardinal catcher will lead things off in the 6th. We're tied at 2. It's the official lawn care company of Major League Baseball and the makers of One A Day Men's, the official multivitamin of MLB. We got a good one going on here tonight in Cincinnati. 2 of the top teams in the National League. Both have been 2 of the top teams in all of Major League Baseball this season. The Reds and the Cardinals are tied at 2. Yadier Molina, David Freese, and John Jay against Matt Latos. I don't know if it ain't bothering Latos or not. In between innings, it was rather odd. The home plate umpire walked about, what, 3/4 of the way out there on the mound?
I would say a little more than that. Very unusual to see an umpire that close to the pitching mound during the warm-up period.
Molina, first pitch swinging, a fly ball into right center field, and Chu goes and gets it.
This is after the last half inning. Latos walking off the field has something to say to Mike Estabrook. That could be a wry smile that's on his face. Then he was shaking his head. Now look how close Estabrook is to the pitching mound during the warm-up period. That's very unusual. There was some communication between the two of them.
Well, that's quite a play made by Shin-Soo Choo out there in center field. And now this ball hit hard and deep. Bruce back at the wall. He'll leap, and he got it. We talked about this Cincinnati defense, and they are flashing the leather here in the 6th.
Oh, this is just the latest great catch by Reds outfielder. Jay Bruce reaching all the way back. Looked like it might have gone out over the wall. This is coming on the heels of a nice play by Chu. Ran a long way for that ball against Molina. Never know in this ballpark. If you're a pitcher and the ball's up in the air, hold your breath time.
2 pitches, 2 outs, and about 800 feet worth of fly balls.
Well, we've talked about it. No team better jumping on first pitches than the St. Louis Cardinals. That's the case even against Molina, where Latos mixed it up with a slider first pitch, and Molina still squared it up.
A ball and a strike on John Jay. Boy, a couple of huge defensive plays made in the Cincinnati outfield in this tie game to begin the 6th inning. Molina denied extra bases, and Freese denied the long ball. 1-2 to Jay. Two and 2 to Jay. Well, you see Molina and Freese sitting next to each other, and nobody's saying a word. They're both wondering what happened.
What happened was about 700 feet worth of outs and 2 balls that were squared up.
Two pitch. And the count is run full on John Jay. Two delivery, Latos to Jay, and there's a ground ball into center field, a base hit for Jay. His first hit of the night.
All right, it's tough to get a clean inning against this lineup, huh?
Well, you're not lying.
As you said, 2 pitches, 2 outs, and then John Jay puts together classic Cardinal grinded out at bat. 2-strike hit just beyond the reach of Cozart. Latos throwing the ball well. Has not been able to work a 1-2-3 inning yet. I think that's more of a credit to the St. Louis lineup than any mistakes that Latos has made.
So now Cosma with a runner at first and 2 out. Cosma 1 of 2 in the game. Had a single in the center field his first time up. Then he hit that little pop fly that Brandon Phillips made the over-the-shoulder catch on to deny a second hit. Ball 1. I love the line that was written earlier this week by Joe Strauss, longtime beat writer covering the St. Louis Cardinals. He said, you know, for years and years and years, the Cardinals and Cubs have been the big rivalry. You know, obviously border states. He said, but now in the National League Central, he said, When the Cardinals play the Cubs, it's become a drinking game. When the Cubs, or rather when the Cardinals play the Reds, it's become 9 rounds inside the octagon. And that's the way these two teams go at one another. Well, I mean, some of the ties between these two franchises is just amazing. When Augie Busch sold the Cardinals a number of years ago, really the primary money that came in to buy the St. Louis Cardinals came from a group led out of Cincinnati. Bill DeWitt, the chairman and primary owner of the Cardinals, has called his primary residence and still does right here in Cincinnati for a long time. Part of his investment group included Bob Castellini. And then when the Reds came up for sale, Castellini bought his hometown team. Ball off the end of the bat. And that is all in the Cardinal 6th inning, highlighted by Red Spectacular D. Starting with Chu, followed by Bruce to keep it a 2-2 affair.
America game break. The Pirates have taken 6 of 8 from the Cubs this year. The big blow today, a Pedro Alvarez 2-run shot against Jeff Samardzija. Bucks 37-25, 3.5 back of first place in St. Louis. New York and Seattle, and on the day that his son was drafted by the Yankees, Andy Pettitte earns his 250th career win. Mariano Rivera saves his 22nd to lead the American League. The Yanks trail first place Boston by just 1 in the AL East as we get you back to Tom and Tom in Cincinnati.
All right, Matty V. Of course, Matt was here with you last night for the MLB Network.
He was, but that'll make you feel old, huh? Andy Pettitte's son drafted by the Yankees. Lee Mazzilli's son drafted by the Mets.
Well, time now for the Fox Sports 1 game summary presented by Fox Sports 1. America's new sports network is coming to you in August. Right around the corner now. All 4 players with extended hitting streaks. Add 1 more with base hits in the game so far tonight. Bruce and Mesoraco solo home runs for the Reds. And this Cincinnati pitching staff, which had been spectacular all year long. 44 hits it has allowed now in the last 3 games. But it's a 2-2 score, and that's all that matters right now. Derek Robinson looks at a strike, 1-1. Robinson 0 for 2 will be followed by Votto and Phillips.
You see the corner infielders rolled up, have to guard against not just the bunt, but any ball hit softly. Just the speed of Robinson. Compromise range.
And they're not going to be able to stop the speed on this one. That will shoot into the corner. Beltran able to pick it up, but would have no chance of throwing out the speedy Robinson, who begins the Reds' 6th inning with a 2-base hit. I tell you what, Beltran, that was quite a play to pick that ball off, for it's a legitimate inside the park home run.
That's a great point here, because you see Robinson, obviously, he's got great speed. A guy with Florida, and Urban Meyer wanted to play defensive back years ago, but that ball is spinning away from Beltran. The wall is closing in on him. For him to cut that ball off and keep Robinson to a double was a much more difficult play than it looked.
Alvaro, he swung at the first pitch in each of his first 2 at-bats tonight. Once bouncing into a double play, and the other time hitting a double down a left field line.
Well, it's the 4th time in 6 innings the Reds have put the leadoff hitter on base. That includes the home run. But they've not been able to move up those runners who've got on base, leading off with singles or doubles.
1-1 Novato. The Reds so far tonight hitless in 4 at-bats with a runner in scoring position. Well, Novato just been mired in this slump. Only 3 for 33 coming in before he had the double, and this ball in the air to deep center field. Jay drifting back, and it's up against the wall. Robinson rounding third, and Votto delivers the go-ahead double. And the ball is thrown all the way to the screen, and Votto ends up at third. That cutoff throw was now within 35 feet of the plate, where they had no chance to throw out Derek Robinson.
Well, the problem was Tyrone Lyons is not backing up the plate either. Uncharacteristic defensive lapse by the Cardinals, and Votto just crushed this ball to center field. Jay playing fairly shallow. No chance to get to this ball. Robinson was tagged at second base, so Cosma thought he may have a play, or Carpenter thought he may have a play, but look where Lyons is. His job during that hit is to get off the mound, station himself between home and third base, and then once he sees the throw made, he has to move behind the plate. See, that throw came from Cosma there that really just kind of sailed on him. I think you're right. You're right, Tom, that Cosma probably didn't have a chance at the plate.
No chance.
But Lyons could do himself a favor there by backing up the plate and making sure the runner doesn't get to third. Now he's in a situation where the infield is going to have to come in with the runner on third base instead of second.
Well, the Reds have their first lead in this game. They have their first lead in this series. And now Brandon Phillips about it. With nobody out and a runner at third, back-to-back doubles to begin the inning, and a rocket knocked down by the shortstop. And a nice play there by Cosma, preventing Votto from coming in. 1 out in the inning.
This ball was hit hard, and you'll see it kick up towards the chin face area of Cosma. Infield in, it's just reaction. It becomes the hot corner, even though it's not a corner. Nice job by keeping the ball in front.
Doubles to begin.
I'm not sure where that ball caught Cosma, but played it like a third baseman. Get the body in front of it. Take your lumps.
Well, now Mike Matheny making his way out of the dugout. They have the left-hander Randy Choate. You would assume it would be him to face Bruce. Reds have taken the lead here in the 6th. Exciting city in the world. The biggest event of the summer is baseball's All-Star Game in New York. Home field advantage for the World Series on the line. The 2013 Major League Baseball All-Star Game on Fox, July the 16th. Been around a long time as Randy Choate. Signed a 3-year deal during the offseason with the Cardinals as their primary left-hander out of that bullpen. Infield in against a left-handed batting Jay Bruce, who looks hit ball one low. So Tyler Lyons, 5 1/3 innings so far. He's been charged with 3.
Yeah, you called it, Tom. Infield in here. Started him with the sinker there, but his featured pitch to left-handed hitters is that wicked slider slicing down and away.
Tapper out in front of the plate. And indecision, and Bruce is safe. Boy, one would think that would be a Yadier Molina ball all the way, and Randy Choate pointed it himself as if to say, my bad.
Yeah, I think Choate thought he should have been more aggressive on this with a runner on third. You don't want to vacate home entirely. I don't think it was that far out where Molina could not have gotten back, but Choate, you're right, he absolutely gave Molina the signal, my bad, because he wasn't aggressive enough on that ball.
Mike Matheny will now bring in a right-hander to face Todd Frazier. So we'll take another timeout. Ace Hardware. Seth Manis, the Cardinals minor league pitcher of the year last season as a starter, now working out of their bullpen. 4 relief wins already this year. Shane Robinson, part of a double switch, replaces John Jay in center. Reds have taken a 3-2 lead with a run here in the 6th. They have them on the corners, 1 out for Todd Frazier, who looks at a fastball, strike 1.
Mike Matheny looking to get out of here with 1 pitch. Seth Manis, that sinker ball, changeup, curveball, ground ball specialist. Less than 16 innings this year, already 6 double play grounders. It's the highest double play rate in the National League.
Frazier in the game has walked and bounced out to the mound. A ball and a strike.
That's the sinker right there. Started at the knees and let it run even further down. Good job by Frazier staying off that. He's looking for something elevated that he can hit it for a sacrifice fly in this at bat.
Back-to-back doubles to begin this 6th inning by Derek Robinson and Joey Votto. Votto the runner at third. Bruce, an infield hit, leads over at first. 2 balls and a strike.
That was a sequence there. Molina called for the sinker away. Manis wanted the sinker in and just missed.
That's 2-1 fastball taken right at the belt, and Frazier looks at it for a strike.
Yeah, when you're not going well, and Frazier's been scuffling lately, those are the pitches you really want back. Probably as much as the plate, certainly as much elevation as Manis wanted to get in that bat. And now he's got to expand the strike zone, does Frazier, with 2 strikes. And that may change the at-bat, Tom, that ball right there, because now I would start Jay Bruce at first base. Not sure if Manis is going to throw the ball by Todd Frazier. So to stay out of the double play for a guy who's a ground ball double play specialist. You see the Cardinals actually roll up their infield a little more here, thinking that Bruce will be going with the pitch.
He is going, and it's ball 4.
Yeah, they actually came out of double play depth into middle infielders for St. Louis, figuring that Bruce would run in that situation, but Manis missed the plate.
So now they are loaded for Devin Mesoraco. He bounced out to the pitcher in the 2nd inning and then tied the game at 2 an inning ago with a home run to the seats in right center field.
Well, nothing has really changed here with that walk, other than obviously he's lost his room for error with that walk. Has to throw strikes here, but he wants that at knees and below with the sinker.
Ball 1 to Mesoraco. Here's a home run from an inning ago, which tied the game.
And that's what can happen when you elevate a fastball, especially in this ballpark.
We brought up earlier, these Reds, they very much believe that Mesoraco is going to be a major factor in the middle of this lineup as his very young career moves forward. But right now, he just happens to be caught behind the guy that most people feel like is the 2nd best defensive catcher in the league, behind Molina and Ryan Hannigan.
Very underrated player, keeps improving offensively as well.
2-0, ball 3, and Manis nowhere near the plate.
Yeah, as a sinker ball pitcher, you want to make your balls look like strikes. Start them at the knees and have them run out of the zone. As you mentioned, Tom, nowhere near the plate. These pitches are balls when they leave his fingers right away.
Well, that was a very, very close 3-0 gimme perhaps from Estabrook, or at least Devin Mesoraco thought so. Now 3-1. Big pitch right here from Manis. And a base hit into left field. That'll bring in 1. They're going to hold Bruce at third. And they are still loaded as Mesoraco knocks in his 2nd run of the game.
We said the walk took away the margin for error. 3-1, has to throw a strike. Mesoraco was ready. Sinker up, just hit too hard past Cosmo, who was shortened up at double play depth. Normal depth, nobody on base, that's an out. Playing double play depth, and the ball hit so hard, didn't have time to make the play.
So close the book on Tyler Lyons. He goes 5 1/3 innings, 6 hits, 4 runs, all earned. He walked a batter and struck out 2, and now Kozar. Strike 1. Reds with a 4-2 lead. And a roller to the right side. A big double play for Manis and the Cardinals to stay in it. But the Reds score twice to break the tie. And we're back to Cincinnati after a word from your local Fox station. ballpark tonight. And they're getting excited about Fox Sports 1, America's new sports network. It is coming in August. Of course, there was a time not all that long ago when something called Fox came along to get the rights to the National Football League. And everybody wondered, who is Fox? What is Fox? Is there a guy named Fox? I'd say a lot has changed since then.
That was a game changer. This looks like another one.
That's right. Well, you felt like this was a step-up start, step-up game for Matt Latos with the Reds ace Johnny Cueto on the disabled list. And so far tonight, he's given up 8 base hits, but only 2 runs. In the hole at short, Cozart will have to cut it loose, and he does. Votto Capito on the bag. It's a nice play by Cozart to begin this 7th inning, and Cozart had just bounced into the double play to end the last inning. Able to make a good play here.
Yeah, first pitch hitting once again are the Cardinals. A nice play and a nice stretch there by Joey Votto to complete the out.
Tom, how much stock do you put in a series like this? You've been covering baseball a long time. We're only in the month of June, second week of June for that matter, and yet you know, here you have 2 teams that going into the series separated by 3 games in the division. First time they met in Cincinnati.
I think that's important. First time that Reds have seen the Cardinals here in Cincinnati. And even Dusty Baker, even though it's only June, mentioned to us the standings. You know, worst case scenario, obviously you lose to the team you're chasing. It's a 2-game swing. The possibility of coming out of the series 6 games out. He was doing the math. That told me right away that they understand the importance of this series. Does it decide anything? No, but you certainly don't want to fall that far behind at any point of the season against a very good team.
There's Matt Carpenter behind an account 0-2. Carpenter 1 of 3, single leading off the game. Latos has retired him the last 2 times. Fastball up and away. You see Latos right around where he generally pitches. 93, 94 miles per hour, and this will be his 90th pitch of the game. They have the right-hander Sam LeCure ready in the bullpen if they need him.
Well, Tom, with all the stats and the numbers we have where you can slice and dice a game and dissect it so many different ways, this to me is one of the more important things. Length out of your starting pitchers. In a game in which Matt Latos has pitched with runners on base in every inning, here he is still in ball game in the 7th inning.
And he's going to get, it looks like, the second out of this inning. Behind the back feed from Votto and the barehanded catch from Latos. Oh, goodness.
Well, I guess that's what happens when you play next to Brandon Phillips all these years. You learn a trick or 2. I mean, cue Sweet Georgia Brown right here. Behind the back, and then the bare hand grab by Latos to complete the play. And Joey's like, I do that all the time. No biggie. That's Joe Cool at first base. Actually, that's a nice play by Latos because the ball actually, of course, disappears behind the back of Latos. He can't follow it all the way. And they'd like to teach you as an infielder, when you flip the ball, show the ball to the receiver the entire time. Keep that palm going towards the receiver. In that case, the ball disappeared behind his back. Nice play by both Votto and Latos.
So now Beltran with 2 down and nobody on. He doubled and scored back in the 3rd inning. And it's 2-0 on Beltran. Well, now it's time for the Just for Men Auto Stop Foolproof Stack, where Freeze, his hitting streak goes to 18 tonight. Carpenter to 17. Allen Craig to 12. And look at those numbers. Beltran has a 9-game. 2-1. Now Latos' spot due to lead off the bottom of his 7th inning. And he's trying to turn in his first perfect inning of the night against this hot hitting Cardinal team. And that misses inside. 3 balls and a strike. I would imagine Latos is going to make Beltran earn his way on, rather than bringing the tying run to the plate in Holiday with a walk in front of him. Just threw it right down the middle of fastball at 94, and it's a full count.
Yeah, it's empty the tank time here. He knows where his spot is in the order. He knows where he is with the pitch count. You see that right there at 96. Time to execute a pitch to a very good hitter. But you're right, he wants to stay away from a situation where the tying run comes up to the plate.
Latos, a big deep breath. 3-2 on Beltran. And now the payoff pitch. Struck him out. And how about the effort tonight from Latos? 7 terrific innings. He's been held by great defense, some slick defense. Latos and the Reds in front 4-2. To your neighbor. And sponsored by Chevrolet. Find new roads. And look at one of the roads coming from Kentucky right into downtown Cincinnati. Game 2 of this 3-game weekend series. It's a baseball night in America here on Fox. And the Reds with a 4-2 lead as they bat in the bottom of the 7th inning against Seth Manis. Reds scored all 4 of their runs. All 4 of them were charged to Tyler Lyons, although Choate and Manis did not help matters. Choate allowing that infield hit to Jay Bruce. And then Manis came in, walked a batter, allowed a run-scoring single to Devin Mesoraco. And there's Johnny Cueto. 19-game winner last year, the Reds ace, but he's looking at Matt Latos saying, "You're the ace tonight, big fella."
Yeah, I like seeing the starting pitcher in the dugout there. He's out of the game, obviously, right now. Instead of taking back into the clubhouse, hanging with the guys in the dugout.
Okay, the way the Cardinals have been swinging the bats, that is quite an effort tonight by Latos. Not a single walk. Did not have a perfect inning all night long until his final inning. Henry Rodriguez, the batter for Latos, and that one dribbled foul. Yes, he had great defense behind him, but really that's one of the MOs on this Reds team. They play great defense.
Right, his ability to make pitches with runners on base, and as you mentioned, last inning was the first and only inning in which he went 1, 2, 3 in order. But this lineup, 73 hits coming into this game in their last 5 games, red hot. See, Rodriguez missed that sinker away, but you know, this is what Latos has been doing. limiting the damage. And I think early in his career, Tom, you would say that sometimes he would let innings get away from him. Instead of conceding one, maybe there's a crooked number up on that board. But coming into this game with runners in scoring position, holding hitters to a 190 average.
So one away here in the Reds' seventh, and now Chu, who is 1 for 3 on an infield hit in the Reds' first inning. You talk about pitching in this ballpark and what a hitter-friendly ballpark it is. The all-time lowest career ERA pitching here, all pitchers, home pitchers, visiting pitchers, belongs to Chris Carpenter, who, by the way, appears to be on his way back. But the next 2 lowest ERAs pitching in this ballpark belong to 2 guys who pitch here all the time. Matt Latos is now under 3 in his career in this ballpark, and Johnny Cueto is 3.4.
That's really impressive. Of course, Latos, he struggled a little bit when he first got here. I think just getting comfortable with a new team, new surroundings. But go back to last May, made 40 starts. Matt Latos is 18-2 with a 2.92 ERA. 18-2. You see Johnny Cueto there. He should be back sometime soon. Maybe miss one more start, 2 possibly.
I mean, they feel like he'll miss the start this Tuesday in Chicago, and then would be ready for his next start next weekend against Milwaukee. Well, it's amazing because Cueto's last game, I mean, if he gets a call on a 2-strike pitch against Brandon Inge, he's going into the 9th inning with a no-hitter, and Chu has his second hit of the night.
Well, when you throw a lot of ground balls, sometimes they're just going to get through. That's a good pitch. Just not at one of your infielders. Good movement on that ball down. Chu does a nice job staying on it. He seems to be percolating again.
Well, now Derek Robinson, who, you look back through all the hits that have gone on here tonight, and Robinson's double to begin that 6th inning is right near the top. Reds had just tied the game the prior inning, and he slaps this one down the third base line. This will be another extra base hit for Robinson. And now the Reds have him at second and third with 1 out and Votto coming up.
2 opposite field doubles, 1 from each side of the plate. We talked about when you roll in the corners, you're going to compromise range. Robinson just shoots this one by David Freese. No chance playing up so close. Give credit to Dusty Baker as well. We talked about the switch in the lineup, moving Zach Kozar down, putting Robinson into the 2-hole, paying immediate dividends tonight.
Well, they're going to bring in a left-hander. This ought to be a great matchup. The youngster Segrist against Votto. will be your home for great live sports. All the news and highlights you want, shows and specials that only Fox could bring you. America's news sports network is Fox Sports 1, coming August the 17th. Boy, great matchup here. The flame-throwing youngster Segrist just brought up from the minor leagues against Joey Votto. Second and third. And a big swing and a miss.
Well, you said it, Tom. He's looking for power here. When Matheny went to Manis last inning, looking for the ground ball double play. In this situation, he's looking for the strikeout. Votto normally pretty platoon neutral. This year, not as well against left-handed pitching, hitting .250.
Segrist just made his major league debut on Thursday night. Struck out 4 batters in an inning and 2/3. He had gone from Springfield to Memphis, AA, AAA already this year. 44 strikeouts in 27 innings between those 2 stops. 1-1 to Joey Votto. 2-1.
Saw Votto take a real big rip on that first pitch. He will do that in running in scoring position situations, but as he gets deeper in the count, look for him to shoot the ball more center to left field than to the pole field.
2-1 on Votto. And that's 3 balls and a strike. Of course, for a lot of these young Cardinal pitchers, we talked about how great they have been. Well, let's face it, this series here now is prime time. Lions tonight, 4 runs in 5 1/3 innings. Manis had a hard time leaving the game now, 2nd and 3rd. And now 3-1 in just a second major league game for Segrist against Joey Votto. And now 3-2. But boy, this Cardinal rookie class indeed on the mound has been sensational. And they believe this guy has a chance to be as good as anybody they have.
Well, you can see he's featuring that fastball throughout this at bat here to Votto. Let's see if he sticks with one more.
And Votto thought it was ball 4. He's called out on strikes. That's a big second out for young Mr. Segrist.
Yeah, how about that? Your second big league appearance. Come in and get Joey Votto. Started with that fastball on. Molina was pumped. Fastball away, misses. Starts to fall behind in the count here. All with fastballs attacking Joey Votto. Now he's behind on the count. Has to come in. Throws a quality strike right there. And look how he finishes off. Right on the black outside corner. Showed him pitches all at the same speed and got out Joey Votto. That is not easy to do.
So they're going to intentionally walk Brandon Phillips to face a left-handed batting Jay Bruce. And, you know, we look at some of the numbers on this Cardinal pitching staff. They've had 11 rookies on the roster at some point this season. 10 of them have pitched in a game for Mike Matheny. Of course, where they have made their greatest impact would be in the starting rotation, because that's where they have needed these youngsters the most. And this is coming into the game tonight. Look at the starters ERA. Miller, Walken, Lyons, 11-4 record. Then down to the bullpen, 3.4 ERA.
They can find some real quality arms, can't they? A lot of these guys plus fastballs. Of course, bases loaded here. Big spot in the game. 2 outs. Yadi Molina just visited Segrist on the mound. That's as good as the pitching coach coming out to the mound. Might see Jay Bruce sitting on first pitch fastball the same way Joey Votto did in this at bat.
You know, Votto and Bruce have almost flip-flopped as far as their production against left-handers. It was Votto who's always been very, very good and still pretty good. Just not as great as he has been, as you mentioned. Bruce is a guy who has labored against left-handers, but in each of the last couple of years gotten a little bit better. Much better so far this year.
.299 against left-handers with 4 home runs this year coming into this game. Boy, not much mystery with Segrist, huh? Going right after the left-handers with his fastball.
And that's the MO on this young man. Hard thrower. Will turn 24 years young next month. Grew up in Wellington, Florida. Pitched collegiately at Palm Beach Community College. 41st round pick. How about that for scouting? 2-1 delivery. And now 2-2. He was the 1,235th player selected in the June of 2007 draft.
Well, that can make the career of a scout. Turn up turn up an arm like this that late. Wow.
2-2. And there's strike 3 called, and Bruce knew it. So Segrist, in his first encounter with Votto and Bruce, strikes them both out to keep it a 2-run game. St. Louis comes to bat here in the top half of the 8th inning. The Reds had gone to their bullpen. This was the #1 ranked bullpen in all of Major League Baseball a season ago. But it's not been the same group so far this year outside of the closer, Aroldis Chapman. And that begins with Jonathan Broxton. Broxton was signed to stay here in Cincinnati to be the closer, you may remember, when the Reds were going to send Aroldis Chapman into the starting rotation going back to spring training. Now, the 4.44 ERA with a reliever can be very misleading early in the game. A couple of bad outings, but both of the outings came in Pittsburgh for Broxton. Most recently last Sunday, that turned into losses for the team and blown saves from Latos.
Yeah, you may not see the 99 and 100, more like 95, but that cutter has become a big weapon for him.
Now it is a different bullpen here with the Reds than the one that was the best in baseball last year, primarily because of another key element on this team that has been on the disabled list twice this year. And that's their outstanding left-handed setup man in Sean Marshall.
Absolutely. The Reds miss him as much as they miss Ryan Ludwig, the RBI producer, but you're absolutely right. Having Marshall to come in, neutralize left-handed hitters, also gets right-hand hitters out well with that breaking ball, the big sweeping one.
0-2 on Holiday. Broxton being brought in here in the 8th inning. You know, you talk about closers and coming in and trying to get the final 3 outs. Don't tell Jonathan Broxton this is not a save situation. You got 3, 4, and 5 in the batting order. And there's Chapman, hoping to have a save chance in the ninth. Reds team had gone 6 consecutive games against the Cardinals where they had scored 2 runs or fewer. And tonight they have 4, and they've left a lot more out there on base. They had them loaded with 1 out, double play into the 6th inning. 2nd and 3rd, 1 out in the 7th.
See if he goes back upstairs with the fastball. Showed him the slider right there down and away. Attacked him early with that fastball up.
In the air right field, Bruce backing up. And he's got it. The Prostate Cancer Foundation's Home Run Challenge begins this upcoming week, leading to Father's Day next weekend. All 84 Major League games from Tuesday, June the 11th through Father's Day, Sunday, June the 16th. Our Home Run Challenge games. Pledges can be made by going to www.homerunchallenge.org. And the great work Major League Baseball and the Milken Foundation have done for prostate cancer research. There's ball 1 down low down on Craig. The count on Alan Craig with 1 out here in the 8th inning, and a 1-hopper down to Frazier. Should be out number 2, and it is.
That's the pitch I think has made Broxton a real tough assignment for a right-handed hitter. That cutter still comes in real hard. And again, you may not see the 99 or 100 you saw back in the day when he was closing for the Dodgers. Watch this ball work off the barrel. Just off the barrel enough to get the soft contact, the rollover.
Saw the reaction there by Craig. He knew it immediately.
Yeah, it looks like you've got it squared up on a fastball. Just late, it moves off the barrel. Soft contact. Careful here, first pitch fastball. Again, Yadier Molina.
Well, twice tonight he's gotten the first pitch fastball, and he has hammered both of them. And he beat him with a fastball there at 95.
Power against power. I mean, they know the scouting report. They know he's one of the most aggressive hitters in all of baseball. He hit at 95. Jonathan Broxton's not backing down from anybody.
Broxton, a mountain of a man. Goes better than 6'4", over 300 pounds, born and raised, still makes his home in Augusta, Georgia. That's 96 gas right there. Hard to believe Broxton's still only 28 years old. Figures to have a lot of baseball left in him.
Yeah, he really is. And, you know, even though he's such a mountain of a man, he's got a really athletic delivery. Repeats it very well. He's got the high leg kick. Well, he uses his big body very well.
0-2 to Molina.
That's just a calling card right there in case he wants to go outside with the slider or the cutter. Molina has seen nothing but fastballs in this at bat. He's got a couple of options here: cutter, slider away, or fastball up.
Came with another fastball away, and it's 2-2 on Yadier Molina. We are in the top of the 8th inning. Cardinals jumped in front in the top of the 2nd. Reds answered in the bottom of the inning. Cardinals took the lead in the 3rd. Mesoraco homer to tie it in the 5th. But then Votto, a tie-breaking double to drive in Derek Robinson, who started the 6th inning with a double. Mesoraco another base hit to drive in a run, and that's where we stand here in the 8th. Well, much like the 2-out at bat with Beltran against Latos in the 7th, it's been pretty much nothing but the hard stuff here. Broxton against Molina. And in a 2-run game, you figure it's coming 3-2.
I'm with you. You figure challenge fastball right here, holding 2. Home run can't tie it. Go after him.
.97 that time from Broxton.
Got a little bit extra for that one.
Chapman knows a thing about 97.
Yeah, that's an off-speed pitch for him.
Seventh pitch in this at bat. A couple of guys that have been down this road before in Broxton and Molina. Roller foul again, another fastball. He has been 95, 96, 97 this entire at bat.
And you can see how much Molina is in protect mode here. Now, the last 2 pitches really not close to the strike zone, but he's got to find some way to get on base, and he's not going to leave this at bat in the hands of the umpire, Mike Estabrook. If I'm Broxton here, you might be tempted to go show him a wrinkle right here, but I'm with you, Tom. I think you still stick with the challenge fastballs when you've got 96 and 97 in your pocket.
Well, he took a little off something.
Yeah, he tried to cut it right there. He did. You know, a hitter sometimes can get you off your plan. I didn't think Molina was actually on the fastball. He was more in protect mode. I think sometimes hitters just get tired of watching the hitter up there foul off pitches and figure, I've got to try something else. You know, normally you see a hitter foul pitches straight back and will tell a pitcher that he's on a pitch, but in this case, foul ball off to the right, foul ball to the left. It was just protect mode by Yadier Molina. Now we get the tying run to come up to the plate.
It's quite an at-bat by Molina. He was down 0-2 in the count. And now you got a guy more than capable of tying this game with one swing of the bat in David Freese. And Broxton delivers. Swing and a miss. Started him with a first pitch slider. Game hitting streak for David Freese, and he's hit all 3 of his home runs this season during the current stretch. Back-to-back sliders to get ahead 0-2.
Obviously now the outfield stationed way back, preventing doubles here. Want to keep David Freese off second base as a potential tying run. Right here it's strikeout mode for Jonathan Broxton, having snapped off 2 extremely good sliders.
Bruce Freese nearly left the yard his last time up in the 6th inning. Bruce went up over the wall to bring it back. And now the 0-2. Another slider, 3 of them in a row. They've got the big left-handed slugger Matt Adams standing in the on-deck circle. Saw Chapman getting up. Now, Dusty Baker has not brought in Chapman to close out a game starting in the 8th inning. And he has said it's something he's not going to do. But when you don't have Sean Marshall down there anymore, perhaps it alters your line of thinking a little bit as manager for this Reds bullpen.
Well, I'm with you on that, Tom. I actually had a long discussion with Dusty yesterday about that. He talked about the amount of gas you have in your tank over the course of the season. You don't want to start drawing it down in May and June. He said he would like to use Chapman for multiple outs, more than 3 outs later in the season, say September. But this may be a tempting situation if, in fact, Freese extends this inning and Adams gets to the plate.
2-2 on David Freese. Struck him out. Moot point. Broxton slams the door on the Cardinals in the 8th. Start, dodge. New rules. Well, Tom Verducci, Tom Brenneman, and our entire Fox crew on Baseball Night in America. A 4-2 Cincinnati lead as they bring in another youngster. We've seen nothing but youngsters tonight. Lyons and Manist and Segrist. And now we get a look at Keith Butler.
Another good arm, low 90s fastball. It's a very good changeup. Well, this is exactly the kind of game you expect when these two teams get together, isn't it? You got Broxton making just nasty sliders, pitching to David Freese, representing the tying run, and now Chapman lurking in the Cincinnati bullpen.
Young man Butler just made his major league debut 1 week ago against the Giants. They brought him all the way up from Double-A Springfield. So he grew up just down the road in Bowling Green, Kentucky. 24 years young. Frazier looks at a breaking ball. '24th round pick was Butler.
Yeah, there's that changeup right there. He just showed you everything right there. If you're Todd Frazier, you saw the 92-mile-an-hour fastball to start off with. You saw the good tilt on the breaking ball, and that changeup just disappeared.
Both of these teams, so many homegrown players, and right now with all these youngsters being brought up recently by the Cardinals, especially down in their pitching staff, 18 of the 25 on their roster drafted and developed inside their organization, and right now that's the most of any team in baseball. The Reds had had that mantle for the better part of about the last couple of seasons, but now the Cardinals are that team, and boy, it's been impressive.
You got the call, the changeup right there. Todd Frazier certainly wasn't sure about that one. Well, he's had some calls go against him tonight. It's the changeup just running away outside corner. He thinks it's off the plate. Butler gets the call. Let's see, Yadier Molina frame this pitch and stick it. And he got some help from his catcher right there in the way he framed that pitch.
Breaking ball away to Devin Mesoraco, who's been a big part of this Cincinnati offense tonight. Had a game-tying home run to make it 2-2 in the fifth, and added their fourth run of the game when they scored twice in the sixth inning.
He's got that changeup dialed in on that outside corner, down and away.
One and one to count on Mesoraco, and he waves through it again.
How about 3 in a row?
Why not?
Of course, the great closer Trevor Hoffman, he could throw you 5, 6, 7 in a row. He didn't care. It was that good. That's a good question. Why not when you're able to locate it the way he is right now?
And there it is again. And again, you ask the question, why not?
Keep throwing it until they show you otherwise, right? I mean, that is impressive. You're talking about a young pitcher pulling off 3 consecutive changeups, all of them perfectly executed.
4 of the last 5 Reds have struck out. And Cozart lifts one into deep right center field, and Shane Robinson got a good jump on that ball. And that's all for the Reds in the 8th. A roll to Chapman. The flame-throwing Cuban will come on to try and close it out in the 9th. Fox is presented by Ace Hardware. Well, what a job they have done downtown here in Cincinnati in the last number of years. This place very much alive. And they're hoping to celebrate a win tonight. Never easy against this Cardinal team, but they'll hand the ball to the left-hander. Aroldis Chapman.
Well, he averages 97 on the fastball. Times you'll see the triple digits. Mixes in enough of a slider every so often to keep hitters honest. He'll start out facing Ty Wigginton, who's going to hit for John Jay. Wigginton actually has a hit off Chapman. Doesn't sound like much, but 1 out of 3 against Chapman. Not many hitters can say that.
Fastball up and away. Now, Chapman converted his first 8 save chances of the year. Then he blew save opportunities in back-to-back games, including a killer blown save in Philadelphia, where he allowed back-to-back home runs. On the ground to Frazier, who will throw out Wigginton. But ever since then, he has converted saves in 7 straight appearances without allowing a run. Time now for the king plays of the game, brought to you by Burger King, where taste is king.
Yeah, big home run by Bruce coming off the loss last night, then down 1-0. He ties the game with 1 swing. And how about this defensive play right here? Saves at least extra bases off the bat of David Freese. Matt Latos says, thank you, Jay Bruce.
So now Cosmo with 1 out. And a first pitch fastball at 98 is in there, strike. Shane Robinson due up next. Cardinals gave the Reds a thumping in the opening game of this series here last night, 9-2. See Chapman at home, been so dominant. His only 2 blown saves were both on the road. Our game produced tonight by Jeff Gowen, directed by Jim Lynch. 1-1 to count on Cosmo. And a little bleeder down the first baseline. That is a fair ball. And the Cardinals will bring the tying run to the plate after the little bloop double down the line by Cosmo.
It's a case where you hit the ball badly enough, turns out good, right off the end of the bat, almost a cue shot. Look, it barely sneaks in inside the foul line down the right field line. It's an easy double for Cosmo.
Cosmo board, and here comes Shane Robinson. He has 1 home run this year. .220 batter, 5 runs batted in. Is only at bat. He bounced out to the shortstop Cozart after replacing Jay as part of a double switch earlier in the game. Fastball 99 miles per hour, knee-high strike.
That's just not fair. 99 on the black at the knees.
Tried to throw the slider that got away from him there, and it's 1 ball and 1 strike on Robinson.
That's the first one he tried to spin, and obviously just slipped out of his hand without the spin on it.
In the air, left field. Robinson is there to get it. 2 away in the ninth. Our associate director, Sherrod Gavaster. Our associate producer is Andy Cavanaugh. Statisticians Mark Zaguro up here in the booth, Scott Snyder. And we thank our entire Fox crew here tonight. We're not finished yet. Matt Carpenter has 5 home runs this season. This crowd, sellout crowd of 40,740, rises as one with 2 outs here in the ninth. Swing and a miss.
I always thought this was a real treat for home fans when you get to watch your closer work, especially one as entertaining as Chapman is at 99 miles an hour.
Well, how about that? Carpenter hit in the back with a fastball at 99 miles per hour. So now Beltran comes up representing the go-ahead run.
Just like it barely nicked him there in the upper arm. 99. Not much time, obviously, to get out of the way of that one. And Chapman's really got his work cut out. Instead of the matchup against Carpenter, a good hitter but left-handed, he's got to face the dangerous Beltran from the right-hand side. 1 for 8 lifetime against Chapman.
2 on, 2 out. And a bouncing ball to Frazier. He'll throw to first. And the throw is in time. Votto kept the toe on the bag. Cardinals don't like the call over at first base. Chris Maloney, their first base umpire, arguing, or their first base coach, arguing with Phil Cuzzy. Mike Matheny out to argue. The Reds are celebrating a 4-2 win.
Well, very close play. Was Votto on the bag? Watch him stretch here. Does the left foot stay on the bag when the ball's in the glove? Boy, that is very close. Beltran had a look at it, and he thought he was off the bag. But Phil Cuzzy saw it as out. Game over. Reds.
Latos goes to 6-0. You get one more look at the call at first. Mike Matheny not happy about it. Yadier Molina also getting in on the argument side.
Looks like he might be off the bag. What was interesting was Cuzzy moved around Votto to try to get a better look at it.
So that'll wrap it up here in Cincinnati. This series even in a game apiece. They'll play the rubber game tomorrow night. For Tom Verducci, Tom Brenneman, good night. Coming up after the break, Matt Vasgersian and Dan Plesac from the MLB Network studios. Good night.